What's up everybody? Today we're going to be talking about the Yashica Electro 35. This isn't really a review video. I haven't really had enough experience with this camera to really put out a full-on review. And to add to that, there's tons of really good reviews on this camera already. However, I wanted to share my experience as a first-time user with this camera, and really as a first-time user of rangefinders for that matter. I've been used to shooting DSLRs and film SLRs as well. And so switching to a rangefinder, and for that matter, I've been shooting film for a while, so I'm somewhat familiar with how film works. But moving on to a film rangefinder was a challenge that I wanted to undertake, and I'm here to share with you guys. So some of the cool things about this camera is that it was really successful at the time that it was manufactured and it came out. Yashica launched this in the 60s and was popular throughout the entire 60s and 70s. They made many iterations of this camera, and this was one of the first iterations. It goes from like the original from like 1966 to 68. This was made in 68, it's the G, and it goes all the way to the 70s with the GTN and all that, I believe. And I just like the overall look of this camera. It's got that classic 60s rangefinder look. And really, for the most part, other than the fact that you can't switch out the lens because this is a fixed lens, the only other shortcoming, I should say, is the fact that you can't set the shutter speed. So in a sense, you kind of have to trust the metering system on here, which isn't too bad. I put a test roll of Kodak Color Plus 200, which is kind of a cheapo staple that I tend to gravitate towards. I just like the warmer tones of Kodak. 200 may not have been the most ideal test roll. I probably should have gone to 400, which is a little bit more versatile. And so what I did was I took it out in several scenarios, and I'm going to be sharing a few photos with you guys from my test roll. Some portraits, some landscapes, and indoor and outdoor stuff. And it performed relatively well, with the exception of light leaks. With this particular camera and some of the things that you might want to investigate and look into, and if you're looking to salvage or give new life to these old vintage cameras, that they're old and a lot of the parts have wear down. This was in relatively good condition. The only cosmetic qualm is it's missing a section right here where you would mount your strap, as well as the light seals are not in the best condition. Thus I had some light leaks on my some of my compositions. Not so much here, more so much on this hinge area right here. I've been getting some light leaks, and it shows up on the film, and I'm assuming that's where it comes from. Regardless, light seals need to be replaced. Not surprised though, it's an old camera. And again, coming from an SLR background, I'm used to seeing through the lens and getting that depth of field and really getting a really good sense of how the photo is going to look like even before I click the shutter button. With the rangefinder, you don't get it. You look through the viewfinder, which is a nice big viewfinder, and you frame your shot with the framing box. And one of the things that I learned that you got to watch out for is parallax. And essentially, what you see through the viewfinder isn't exactly what the lens is capturing. But however, this camera attempts to compensate for that. So basically, when you're set your aperture and all that, and you're range finding and adjusting your range in order to focus and overlap the two images, what the frame box does in the viewfinder is it actually adjusts. You'll see it move diagonally, and you'll frame your composition within that frame box to allow for some compensation with any would-be parallax. Metering system on this I can't say too much about. All I can say is that on ISO 200 in good sunlight, it meters quite well. Because this isn't a review video, I'm not going to go too deep into the specs. I again want to talk more about my experience in shooting this camera, and it's kind of a theme that I want to carry on with my future videos as well. A lot that I really need to learn about this camera and really need to learn how to operate about this camera. But as far as first impression goes, that's all I got. So without further ado, let's get into the photos and let's talk about the kind of compositions that I was able to get with this and some of the challenges that I needed to overcome and some of the, weird things that I kind of encountered as far as light leak goes. But yeah, So here's really the first inaugural photo I took with this rangefinder. It's a picture of a bridge, and decided to get some lens flare behind the tree here, and it came out all right. This is where we start to see the light leaks, and you can see it right here in the left portion. Not too bad, and I'll do a portrait version of this same model, and we get that same light leak as well. But overall, depth of field was kind of good. Now, this next photo has some severe, I don't know what happened, I don't know if that's a light leak or not, but that was not supposed to be there. So again, a bit of a minor light leak right here on the left. Decent depth of field. I believe the main challenge for me was trying to keep up with a subject that's dynamic like a model, and she wasn't exactly staying still the whole time. She was constantly moving, and as a first-time rangefinder user, it was a bit tricky. And this is an instance where the light leak was a little bit overwhelming, and I wish it hadn't been super overwhelming. It has an aesthetic quality to it, but it's a little too much. And here is another instance on the landscape here on the coast. Great exposure where it didn't get messed up, but where it did get messed up, it's a shame that it had. So definitely need to fix the light seals. However, here we see that the light leak is towards the very, very bottom, and we get kind of this gradation effect, and I feel like this was actually kind of cool, so I don't mind this. And we have kind of a red light leak right here. I think that's kind of cool. And here we have no light leak, which is nice. Testing here the depth of field with the large aperture. Some indoor shots as well, and you know it's kind of grainy. ISO 200. Another one, not too bad. 400 could perform a little bit better, obviously. And the all-encompassing, I shoot a film camera self-portrait in a mirror. So, yeah. So that was my experience in shooting this camera. There are a few things I need to correct with kind of my technique, and there's some things I just need to get used to, and as you guys heard, I need to replace the light seals in this camera so I don't get those crazy lens flares, even though some of them came out kind of cool. But there's going to be a time where I'm gonna want to compose a good image without any kind of malfunctions or interference, so that's something I need to work on, and once I get it, maybe I'll do a follow-up video on this camera. In the meantime, I've got a bunch of other cameras that I'd like to make videos on and kind of share my experience with them as well. Maybe not so much review videos, more experience videos. So, catch you guys later. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe. Let me know what you think, how I can improve on these videos, because this is my first one. Let me know what you think about rangefinders or just film photography in general, or why you got into film, or why you got back into film, I should say. But yeah, peace out, guys.